Ladies and gentlemen, Grand Arena 5v5 is about to start back up very soon, so it's time of the season where I go over what my thought process is for initial squads I'm taking on offense and defense, how the Acrons might affect what I'm doing, anything new that might have happened since last season. But first, I just want to go over the overall offensive philosophy I have before I look at these squads. So first of all, I do think of offense first. I do want to make sure I have enough with me on offense to take out whatever I might face, and a lot of that comes from scouting to make sure you know what your opponent's going to set. And you have to determine what your philosophy is. Mine is mostly heavy offense, but I try to do it bespoke-ish. Bespoke just means it's catered to each opponent. So if I see an opponent goes really light on defense, I might try to take only what I need for that and then place a hard defense to trip them up. If they go super heavy, I'm going to try to match just to make sure I can clear, because I don't want a full decent defensive battle where no one's clearing. And scouting is a big part of that. So you determine what you're likely to face and bring a counter for it. Like, for example, now I have Afra, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to see Java a lot. So I'm taking Afra. I'm not going to sit her on defense. And then determine which Galactic Legends aren't going to hold well in your league. And this is also about Java for me, because I'm going to end up taking Java on offense, because right now Dr. Afra just eats him alive. So he's not much use on offense. He can take care of Jedi Master Kenobi fairly easily. So definitely keeping him for offense, and I'll show that in my squads. You also want to identify other classic offensive teams that aren't really going to hold well, and they also get good banners. Would be like Bad Batch, Imperial Troopers, and Bounty Hunters. I've experimented using Bounty Hunters on defense, but probably not going to do that anymore. And then if you want to go completely offense heavy, you might want to bring extra legends, even if you don't have a specific counter in mind for them. So without further ado, let's look at my squads for offense. Alright, so here's what I'm going to be looking at to start the season as far as my offensive teams. It's going to change round to round, opponent to opponent. Even what I'm showing in this video might not even be what I use in my very first match. It just depends who I face. But as I mentioned, I have Dr. Afra now, and I just was able to get the third Zeta on her in time for this round. 000 doesn't have a Zeta, but his is the worst. HK and IGA had those for a while. This team, I have the Dr. Afra Datacron, so this team does so well. It handles Java so easily, and I've actually been able to handle Rey a lot in Arena, so Squad Arena. I don't know how that'll hold over, but there's a couple options for her. She's very strong with that Datacron. And then for Lord Vader, I do want to go offense heavy, so even though I don't have a specific team in mind to go against with him, I'm keeping him for offense. And I'm also bringing Maul Mandalorians, so that gives flexibility that I don't need to decide ahead of time what I'm going to put on defense with him. Do I keep Maul? Do I destroy that whole team? I have a couple options. I can use Maul and then use Lord Vader with a lesser team, or if I really need Maul with him, I have him on offense too. Also, Jedi Master Luke. This team is good for Jedi Master Kenobi, but I'm bringing in Jabba, so I'm not sure. My Jedi split is always up in the air, so it's just like some characters that I don't necessarily need in a Jedi Knight Revan lineup, or I don't need with Starkiller or something. So it depends what I'm using with that. I don't really like to put it on defense. I said the Eternal Emperor. I took Watt out because I might need Watt elsewhere if I'm facing Reva, which I think I will probably fairly often. I'm going to need Watt and hope that I can counter with Maul Mandalorians or something else. So he'll have the armor and probably need a mixture of Geobird Alpha, another tank, or something like that. Just a few things. And you'll see on defense why I have this team like this. For Jedi Master Kenobi, I took away General Kenobi and Ahsoka Tano. I'm not sure what I need to beat with this, but I don't need to beat Java or Jedi Master Kenobi probably. So I can have a little bit more flexibility with this. Mace is a for sure fit with the rest of these three. Ayla Secure, I don't know if I'll use her. Just kind of a placeholder right now. And then JMK Slayers. Java is great against JMK. If they don't sit JMK, I can for sure take out something with him, but he's more of a timeout risk on defense, so he's not necessarily going to beat every type of Galactic Legend on offense, but he can beat plenty. And Boba Fett is very nice for this because he can get around taunts. So you have Boba Fett and Jabba getting around taunts. And on that JMK team, you can start targeting Commander Sokatano and General Kenobi kind of synchronize, get a bunch of bombs on them, thermal detonators, and then blow them up at the same time and kind of take out half the squad real quick. And then for Starkiller, I'm still using the same squad. I don't know if I'll be able to beat Ray with it this time because there's resistance specific Datacrons, but I remodded old Ben for pretty much straight potency. So he's the weakest. He should be going first and should be reduced in turn meter. Revan, again with Jedi, it just depends how you split them, but this is not a team I'd sit on defense. So whether Yoda goes with Jedi Master Luke or stays with Revan, it's all up in the air. They could go a bunch of different ways. And then this is the Reva squad, which I had the recent video about. It's not a guarantee. There are ways that people can stop it with their Datacron specifically. I don't want to say it specifically because I don't want to broadcast it, honestly. But there's ways around it. So I'm hoping I can take people down with this. It's very consistent given the right circumstances. Just give the weapon tech to Maul. And then dominoes start falling into place. If they don't have Reva or they didn't set it for some reason or have to do something else, this will be a good team. Otherwise, if they don't have Reva at all, I'm not going to bring Mandalorian Beskar armor on offense. I'm going to put them on defense. So that's just I'm going to have to determine as things come. Imperial Troopers. Something I did in my squad, my squad loadout that differs from past Grand Arenas. I put Stark in here instead of Moff Gideon, and that's because if you're taking on Lord Vader, Stark gives defense down on his basic, and he's slower than Moff Gideon, so he kind of staggers that turn meter train, and he removes turn meter on his own, which isn't going to affect Lord Vader, but it'll affect some others. So it might be able to keep a Maul at bay if it got 100% turn meter. And yeah, if they don't have Lord Vader set up the right way, this can take it out with just a 25% turn meter Datacron. Bad Batch classic offense, gonna be something usually that you can do with it. They rarely sit on the bench for me. Iron Versio has been more on the bench for me lately. I don't know how she'll handle Commander Luke with a Chupio Datacron if that still works, but there's other stuff she can handle like Mon Mothma. And I'm drawing a blank on everything, but I have been using her less, which is kind of sad because she is very fun to use. And then Bounty Hunters, they work pretty well, especially in 5v5. You can squeeze in Zam and Fennec along with Mandalorian and Grief Karga instead of just bringing just Mando and Grief under Bosk, and then they can make some stuff happen. Jango Fett should be available. I don't know if later in the season I'll be using Trench with them, but that is a possibility. And here's Wampa down here. Hopefully I get a chance to use him, but it's not always a guarantee. And just a few more squads here. Mon Mothma, not really going to do much on defense. This team is actually kind of gutted because I have Cara Dune with Sound of Stars on defense and actually Kalik Tarn for a little bit. I don't know if that's going to stick or not, but I just needed a last Rebel. This is kind of dead for me, but it is, if you have it, I recommend having it on offense either way. Even if you're at a lower level, I don't know, it's usually figured out. Wampa is a good counter to it. And then General Grievous, this can take out some good stuff. You got the droid Datacrons right now. The tank revive is helpful because that means Magna Guard is going to come back. B2 will come back if he's at first. Nuke Gunray comes back on his own, and then B1 takes quite a few hits to take down. So you have pretty much complete safety at the beginning with this team if you have the tank revive. Turn meter, I think, is almost useless because it just gives B1 a turn, and it'll get target lock on one person, maybe, but not that impactful. Go with tank. Inquisitors. I might use Night Sister with Lord Vader, so if I do that, maybe I slot in Second Sister here. But they have some uses. They can take out Qui-Gon Jinn pretty easily. With their Datacron, they can do a lot of different stuff. So at least for this last season, they will have some wide use, and just depends what I face. I'm pretty data-driven in my attacks, and they usually pop up here and there as an option for something. And then we got some Separatist teams here at the bottom. Geonosians are actually pretty useful in cleanup a lot of times. It's not just a throwaway. And then Techno Union down here. I don't know what's going to happen with this. It's always hard to tell how good a team is going to be or how good a character is going to be or make a team until they come out. And on paper, Trench looks okay, like so-so. I don't know, maybe he'd be amazing, and maybe I'd actually want to use Watt with him. But we will have to see. Right now, I kind of need Watt in a lot of different places, but I'd be happy to use Trench if he were good. And now let's look at some defenses. Now I got the defensive side of the board here. Before I go over my exact compositions, I just want to go over what I look at or think about when I'm placing defense. So after I've taken what I want for offense specifically, and I look at what I have left for defense, I try to craft some unconventional non-Galactic Legends team and put them on the front wall, which is the bottom wall down here. And usually it's actually kind of a level 9 Datacron for me. It's a team that's not a Galactic Legend, but they have something special going on for this season. It's not something super old. It's been figured out a long time. And it might be new and just trip people up. Like this season, there's some set 7 Datacrons that have not been tested out in 5, so it's great to trick people up with that. And then if I look at the history and see they have problems with someone, I might switch up the game plan and set that team. If it's a Galactic Legend, I usually use on offense. Set teams that are hard to deal with no matter what at the top wall. You kind of want to show them, give them a preview of what they're going to have to handle this team up here. Like you see Malgus there. They're going to have to handle Malgus. So they have to be able to prepare for whatever is going to be in the back row, and also what's going to be, and have stuff left over for the top. So they might pull their punches and not have enough to get through the bottom wall. You also want to set somewhere, I'm not sure exactly where you put these people, teams with lower banner potential, but they're still very strong, like General Skywalker. I'm not sure exactly where to put him. Do I put him on the bottom and try to draw the Galactic Legend, but an easy clear, or do I save him for later and put a bunch of defense and hope they can't clear them? I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. And then teams that can steal banners, definitely. And if you want to go heavy defense and just be annoying, you probably want to load up this bottom zone with tons of Galactic Legends and force them to just clear the top wall and the fleets. So let's look at the actual squads I have set right now. And if you're facing me, this is not a guarantee I'll set them. I will change it up based on what I see with you. So one for sure team that I love on defense is this Traya team. This exact composition. Don't mess with it. It's not broke. Don't fix it. The core trio. You got the Omicron Traya, Savage with his Omicron. Without the Omicron, useless. And then Talon. She has an Omicron. It might make it better, but I don't have enough to spare to give it to her. This team almost demands a Galactic Legend. It's something people don't want to use a Galactic Legend on, but they might be forced into it. So it's very nice. Got so many holds for me. Last season, 5v5 was kind of the MVP for me. And I want to use Beskar Mando in the lead here, but I need him to possibly handle Riva. If that's not working, I might just keep Bam on defense full time. But if they don't have Riva at all, Bam is going here instead of Dash, and Dash will go with Santa or something. And then down here, these last two, these are two new level 9 Datacrons. The GPO Datacron and the Sortie Datacron. I may very well decide I want to keep Luke on offense if he's just getting beaten easily, and he's a great option. I could definitely see that happening, but right now I think it'll be tricky for people because this Datacron is very strong. Same with Sortie. She's just pretty annoying to deal with. And I'm kind of forced with putting Jorika here as the 5th. There's some synergies that don't work with him because he's a Separatist droid. But the core is Sortie, BB-8, T3, and then R2. I also might need R2 for offense, so I don't know what I'll do in that case. But I definitely want Sortie here. And none of these are Galactic Legends, but they just might tempt people to use weaker teams just enough so that they might drop battles there. And in the back, this is kind of new for me. For now, I have Rey and Kylo set because I don't need Kylo for Jabba anymore. So I want to try setting him on defense. I don't know how well that'll work. I don't think Jedi Knight Revan, Jedi Knight Luke is going to be super smooth given the right stat boost, which I think I have. Lots of armor penetration, lots of health, and lots of tenacity. So I think that counters that there. And then, I got a strong resistance datacron. It's the anti-crit chance, or the plus 100% crit avoidance, and then you get crit chance. I got good health and tenacity here. That should make a lot of problems for Starkiller. Although I might need this on offense because Ray is an option to beat Riva. And it's basically just you let them hit you. They get you into damage immunity, and they keep getting so much turn meter that Ray's mastery goes through the roof. And then you do an ultimate, and hopefully you get to another one, and it kills the whole team. An arena I was testing out, and they got everyone to damage immunity. Ray, except Ray. Ray finally got a turn, did an ultimate, took away half everyone's health. They healed up a bit more. She got into damage immunity, and they got so many turns that her next turn she got into ultimate, and then she wiped out the whole team except Riva, and then whirlwinded her, and that's that. So that might be what I need to rely on, but I'm not sure. And then Rogue One here, I always use this on defense. It does have offensive uses, but I just like to put it on defense because it's like I need to put something on defense, But it might be figured out. It just depends. I was wondering if he'd have some kind of use against Riva with the days, but it doesn't. They just get wiped. And on the top, I don't know how Malgus will do against Riva. If that is a counter in Grand Arena, that'd be nice because they don't have a cleanse. To trigger the death mark, I'd welcome that if that turns out it's working that way. But for now, I'm setting this on defense. And here with Qui-Gon, if you look at the stats on Swigga.gg, this team has a pretty bad hold rate. They barely get any holds unless you have these two. So Ahsoka Tano and General Kenobi. If I didn't have Afra, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable doing this because I'd need to save. Or, I don't know. Maybe just taking Jabba on offense is enough. I'd feel like I can set these guys. But hopefully this gets some more holds for me. I did not do much last season. And then General Skywalker, is a perennial threat. You cannot underestimate him. And I'm loading him up with some decent defense, 154%, and then some protection there. Crit damage is also a nice boost, but that's something to contend with. And then another team I'm not certain about. It shows Santa here, but I don't have a Relic 7, so it's not active. The clear members of the team are her, the Stormtrooper Han, Kara, Rolo. I don't have any Zetas here, so I don't know. I think this actually might be just a flop, but it's new. I want to try it out. I threw Kyle Katarn in there. I actually want Dash here, but if they have Riva, I need Dash to lead the other scoundrels. So tentatively, that's my defense. A lot of teams can go either way. It just depends. I don't know what I'm going to do with ships. I'm going to have to decide that based on each particular opponent. But right now, that is what I'm working with for this 5v5 season. So that's it for me. Let me know what you think of my squads. Where am I making mistakes? I'd love to hear suggestions. And tell me what you're using this season. What are you looking forward to try out? It's going to be an interesting season with Riva, if not just for Riva. I hope she gets a nerf, but otherwise I hope I can handle her in the meantime. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there during my next Grand Arena.